Hello and welcome to Firearm Freedom. So in today's video, we are going to talk about if you can possibly and is it going to be the best for you to conceal a full-size handgun. So I'm going to get right into it in this video. I get tons of questions in the shop where I work at what size would be the best handgun to conceal for whoever's talking to me personally. Now, I obviously, as you guys know, concealed carry a full-size handgun, a VP9 at the moment. So right before I start off at all, I want to completely tell you guys that obviously I do work at a gun store, so I don't really need to be concealing a whole ton of a lot at my job. However, there are generally more places that I go into on a day-to-day basis where I really might need to be more concealed and I really can't have it printing at all. So the reason I mention that is because I really hate when people come out and say, well, I conceal carry a full-size handgun all day, and they have it in an outside the waistband holster, and they really are never in an area where they have to be extremely concealed, where if that firearm were to get exposed, they could lose their job, they could get kicked out of the place that they're at. And you know, when I ask those people, well, you know, what do you do when you go into this place or that place or that place? They say, well, I have to, you know, put it in a bag or I have to leave it in my car. I want to exclude those people because what I'm talking about is actually concealing a full-size handgun on your person in every way, shape, or form. Anywhere that you can safely carry and that you can legally carry, you could conceal that full-size handgun. So obviously the way that I have the most success doing this is in appendix carry, being the size that I am. But I have seen larger people carry inside the waistband in like the 4 o'clock and actually conceal a full-size handgun, or possibly in a shoulder holster as well. Personally with me, as you guys know in other videos that I posted, appendix carry at the moment works best. I can get to it you know, with speed, with accuracy, and also it's the easiest for me to conceal. No matter what you do, a smaller, more compact, single-stack handgun is definitely going to be more comfortable for you to conceal, obviously. But every time, you know, you look at that comfort level, you're always kind of getting away from something. You know, generally the smaller you go, the lighter you go, the harder it's going to be to shoot. Now on the other side of that spectrum, if you keep going larger, if you keep going heavier, it's going to get more and more uncomfortable to carry. So my VP9 has 15 rounds in a magazine, and I obviously carry an extra magazine right next to that, totaling 30 rounds of 9mm and a gun that probably weighs 2.5 pounds. So obviously, you know, if you do go larger, you have to have an extremely good belt, an extremely good holster wherever you decide to carry. But there's some really good advantages about carrying a full-size handgun. So when you go to shoot a full-size handgun, you know, when you go to present that out, generally speaking, for let's say a 9mm or other basic calibers, 9, 40, 45, it is going to be easier for most people to shoot a full-size handgun than it is to shoot a compact small handgun. So right off the bat, I'm getting a gun that's easier for me to shoot. So on top of that, another really great thing about carrying a full-size handgun would be capacity. This CZ has 18 round magazines. The VP9 has 15. Most other full-size handguns out there are going to vary from 15 to 20 rounds, somewhere in between there. That is a great amount of capacity. We're talking 9mm, but even 40, 45 have a really good amount of capacity in a full-size feature. Leading back to what we talked about before, if you have a job or if you're doing something on a day-to-day basis where absolute and complete concealment is a must, and you might not have the proper clothing, so scrubs, being in some sort of a medical field, or you know, any other type of field where you're not going to have a belt, you're not going to have anything sturdy. I have the ability 24/7 in my day-to-day life to have a belt on me and to always have my shirt untucked. So that's going to be a really big benefit for me to be able to conceal a full-size handgun. If you don't have the ability to do that, it's going to be much more difficult for you to do that, and that's where carrying a smaller, more compact handgun, possibly in a belly band or somewhere else in deep concealment, is probably going to be best for you. But again, they have options out there that will allow you to carry a full-size handgun if you want to. Well, if you're thinking about concealed carrying, it is possible to do it with a large handgun. Male, female, whatever body type, you can still get away with doing it. It's really all about trying out what works best with you. After about a week and a half of me carrying a full-size handgun, I really started not realizing that it was there. Now, granted, those first couple of days was much different for me, and if I didn't have a good belt set up, it probably would have been a nightmare. So you just really have to try everything out. So there's a lot of benefits with concealed carrying a full-size handgun, which is why I prefer it, and I honestly promote it quite a bit nowadays with new shooters that are getting into it or new concealed carriers. It tends to be a really good option. Not only that, if it's going to be your first handgun, it's probably going to be a lot easier for you to learn on a full-size handgun. Now, the final point I want to make is those of you that are living in restricted states, states like New York, my hometown where I'm from, or California, or other states that will have a magazine limit. This whole topic kind of, I don't want to say it doesn't apply, but it has to be looked at from a different light. And the reason is, in states like New York, unless the laws have changed in New York, my understanding of it is that you guys still, if you are going to choose to carry or have a firearm in a defensive point up there, it can only be loaded to 7 rounds, and that is including 1 in the chamber. So really 1 in the chamber and 6 rounds in the magazine. So in this case, there's really not as much benefits as far as gaining capacity in going with a full-size handgun, but it still will hold the benefit of being easier to get a hold of and just shoot overall, generally. So up there you could go from carrying, say, a bodyguard with 5 or 6 rounds in the magazine to a full-size Glock, and you're still carrying the same amount of ammunition. So at that point, you really want to start asking yourself, do you want to add that much extra size and weight for really no more increase in capacity in any way, shape, or form? The main reason that I see what's so great about going with a full-size handgun is that capacity benefit. I feel like it's such a great ability to have that much rounds on tap in the magazine, ready to deal with whatever situation that I come across. In these times today, we're dealing with more and more attacks with multiple attackers, and the reality of it is, guys, you really just never know the situation that you're going to come across. So again, it leads me back to my main point where if I can carry more ammunition, why wouldn't I? So again, I've had the ability to try out carrying a full-size gun. I really recommend it to you guys if you have the ability to, and if you think it would work out for you. I have the luxury of having a couple of different handgun options, obviously, as you guys can see behind me, to choose from on a day-to-day basis if I ever wanted to switch it up. Some people may not have that. So if you can only buy one option, it's really a good idea to try out a friend's or go to a range and try out different options and see how they fit in your hand. And if you ever have the advantage to trying one out in a holster, in the store, or whatever, on your person, to see if you'd be able to carry it. You guys got to think smart about it and get the gun that's right for you. Thank you guys so much for watching. Go ahead and give my Instagram account a follow. The link is down in the description below. There will be new great videos to come very soon, so make sure you subscribe so you don't miss out on any of that. Thank you guys so much for watching.